I want to say 5th or 6th of January. Bit of a different day today. I'm going to be going over to Le Sport, which is in Ross-on-Sea, because it has snowed significantly.
So that's what we're dealing with.
Here, I'm being quiet because everybody else is asleep. It's currently 7 o'clock on a Sunday, so quite unsociable out today. Anyway, food hasn't changed at all, so I'm just gonna bang in meal 1, cream of rice meal, and then we're gonna try and get going as soon as possible because I don't want to fuck around on extremely snowy roads. Granted, I do own a Mini Cooper, which is the ultimate in snow performance vehicles. Front wheel drive, glorious. Messy. Done. Finished. Meal 1.
Right, into the leg session. Do a voiceover here as I forgot to mic up, / didn't want to, / wanted to listen to music whilst training legs. This is why I barely ever post my leg sessions, because I generally like listening to music while I train. But anyway, so 3 working sets to begin with on the standing calf raise here. 2 straight sets, and then the third, I believe, I made into a double drop set. So big emphasis on stretch and the contraction here. I think a lot of people jump around with calf raises. They bounce them. They really almost get stuck in the middle and then jerk it up like I just did then. But you want to be as smooth as you possibly can be. People always try and rush this movement. They're always trying to press through as quick as they can and drop it down to the floor, then bounce out of it, and it just ends for a very ineffective set. So what you want to do is really emphasize that stretch position, as we want to do with most movements, and really control the press. Onto adductors. So prime adductor in Le Sport, very, very heavy adductor machine. I think I used about half the stack, which compared to the Panatta, I'm using the whole stack. So we're getting one of these as well in Meritor, so that'd be very useful in terms of continuing to grow my adductors. But again, big emphasis on the stretch here. I actually set the machine up so it was all the way onto heavy in the stretch rather than keeping it consistent throughout, because I want to really hammer that stretch position with these. Obviously, we know that the stretch position mediates hypertrophy much better than the contractile position, especially as this movement, you become weaker as you get into that contracted position. So it's much, much better to place the emphasis in the stretch position here. And obviously with the form I'm also using, where I get a nice big pause in that stretch position, I am looking to also do that here. So training absolutely, literally, quite literally balls to the wall here, because I'm facing in that direction. But yeah, you got to really push this hard, and you can actually do it, because you can get really safe with this, really safely push it to failure. But yeah, here's another angle for you. So yeah, we can definitely push this one pretty brutally in towards failure, and obviously get into those partials towards the end. First set there was a nice straight set, and this second set is a drop set. I haven't actually included the second sets for much of the other stuff. I just filmed this because it was a better angle. You've also noticed they've got the bars in front of you, so you can pull yourself out of the machine more easily. That's a nice quality of life addition from this gym here. But yeah, overall, I fucking love this machine. Prime do excellent pieces, and this is probably the heaviest adductor stack you'll ever get to use, if you do ever get to use one. It's just brutal, but most people manage to, stack an adductor pretty fucking easily with no issues. And to that I say, lift your feet from the stirrups, sir, because that will make it a touch harder. If you are doing that, also just buy a gym pin if your gym allows you to use them, so then you can start loading that really, really nicely. But what we want to do is obviously make the exercise, the reps, as difficult as we can, hence the big old pause in the stretch I'm doing, the very controlled eccentric as well, to make sure that I'm not using any additional momentum that would take away from the muscular stimulus I can internally produce, rather than just trying to get the weight to provide that external stimulus, whilst also, potentially risking a greater level of injury or stuff like that. So we want to just remove momentum and make sure that it's us doing the lifting rather than just being lazy and just throwing weights around. Yeah, so we want to do that. Ooh, watch me try and squeeze out of that. Jesus Christ. Okay, on to leg extensions here. Another prime piece. I have loaded almost entirely all my weight onto the top pin here, and I've just put a 5 kilo in that mid pen. I actually normally use the machine version of this instead of the plate loaded, so the pin loaded instead of the plate. I just prefer it because we have the option to do that at Meritor. You can actually get a bigger stretch on this one, however. But anyway, I'm pulling myself into that seat. See, I'm gripping like the bottom handles because I've got gorilla arms and they're super long, so I can grip the plastic part of the handle, but I'd rather grip that lower part and I just get a better grip on that. But what I'm doing here is obviously I've got all that weight on the top pin to make the stretch much heavier than the contractile position. Obviously, we're weaker in the contractile position as we are with most muscles, so I am actually hammering the living fuck out of it still in that contractile position and getting a full second hold in the contraction. Now, I know a lot of people think, oh, the contraction's fucking pointless. So, well, I want really detailed quads, and as bro science as it sounds, making sure you can actually contract your quads properly, especially on stage, really, really important for showing off your detail in your quads. So we still do want to hammer the shit out of contractile position and actually get a full rep out. Anyway, that was a straight set to begin with, and then we move on to a double rest pause. So I just took a 25 off the top there. So I think the first set was 75 kilos, and then the second set is with 55 kilos or something like that, 50 kilos maybe. I can't really fucking remember. No, there's 2 silvers on the top there. That'll be 50, and then there's a 5, so it's 55. And before I would have had, oh fuck me, I miscounted that. I would have 80 on before. No, I had a 20 on before over the top. Sorry, I was 75. Correct. Anyway, still keeping very good tempo here. I might be going a touch quicker just because it is the second set. Obviously, look at the faces there. I'm definitely growing the wrinkles, but no Botox for me, thank you. No needles in my face, just in the muscles. So yes, just pushing it there to the point where obviously I'm not able to move it anymore. Could have maybe gone for a partial, but we're obviously going to do 2 additional rest pauses, so 20-second rest in between each. Get back into the seat, go again, see how many reps we can get. It obviously just helps to restore the ATP in the muscle, which is the thing which allows you to contract the muscle, and then we go again. About 20 seconds is 10 to 20 seconds is enough time to have a little bit of restoration of that. So we're just looking to keep that muscle in towards the point of absolute failure and just basically eke out a little bit more out of each set, hence the reason for the intensifiers. Does work, does make it hurt more. We're looking to obviously increase the amount of, I can't remember how to pronounce this, but aranchronic acid or something like that. Oh, I can't fucking remember. But anyway, it's the amount of acid that you need to essentially release from the muscle in order to experience muscle growth. So that's what we need to do. Just hammer the shit out of them, basically. Anyway, on to seated leg curl now. I put my leg curl before my squat pattern. So here we've got, the first one is a straight set, as usual with these. I am jamming my lower back into that seat and obviously driving my knees into that knee pad. It is just above my knees. It's not on my knees. It's not fully onto my quad. I'm just making sure that, the actual joint lines up, my knee joints line up with the moment arc of the machine, so I can get a full stretch and contraction properly without having any sort of undue stress on the knee there. So we are obviously getting big contraction. Whenever you do this movement, it is all about the contraction. I see a lot of people just completely miss it out and just like, oh, we need the stretch position. It's not great for getting in stretch positions, these machines, because obviously you're at a point where you might not be able to fully extend the hamstring here because some machines don't allow for it. So realistically, this is a big proponent here is the contraction. That's why you see me almost overemphasize that contractile position with a nice big pause, obviously into my partials there, really trying to push through. Don't just let yourself slack off with those either. You've really got to, even when you get stuck, still be fighting to try and get it. You can't just go, oh, well, it's not going to move, so I'll just go to the next one. You've really got to hang on there and almost do an isometric hold to see if you can break the inertia and get through it. What I always say to guys is, imagine you are thinking you're about torque, not horsepower. So you're a tractor, not a racing car. Yeah, you've really just got to try and, rather than spinning the wheels, you're trying to get traction through the muscle. So we need that torque. This set is a rest pause into drop set. You can see the pain on my face already. And obviously, I have a thing where I do hamstring curls where most people can actually get the pad all the way back to their arse. I fucking can't. I never have been able to do it, but I still get a really good contraction, hence the size of my hamstrings. So, you know, it's just one of those where certain people are built different, but my full level of contraction is at about 90 degrees. I do still try and get it all the way back, but not at the expense of lifting my lower back off the pad, because I'll just end up with a great level of stress through the lower back rather than the hamstring, which is where I want it. So there's the rest pulls, and then we go straight into the drops. Which again, I'm aiming for about 3 to 5 reps on each of these. I don't want to go crazy high. You want to still remain pretty close to failure and just bang them out. You don't want to be doing a set for like 3 or 4 minutes. You know, you want to get it done pretty fucking sharpish, so we can squeeze those out. But yeah, good old thing to do. Just finish off not finish off, but really get some blood in the hamstrings and really just smash the living shit out of them. I've already done my set, which is like, you know, let's try and push this one really hard. I'm still trying to push this one hard with weight, but we're just doing some intensifiers to get some more blood flow. On to the hack squat. I've never used an Atlantis hack squat before. It's very light. You're almost lying down, but still 4 plates on here. I did 2 sets. I've started doing 2 sets rather than 1 just because I feel I can handle the volume a bit better. I've got due to my split, you know, I'm not doing high frequency quad work anymore. It's quite low frequency. I've also added in 1 set of leg press on my posterior day just to account for this, because I know I can get a bit more volume through the quads now, and I want to keep them hammering away and still keep them growing, which you can do through prep. No matter what people say, you can still provide enough stimulus to generate muscular growth. So anyway, we are getting all the way down to the arse here. I do like the fact that with this, unlike the Cybex is actually quite limited in its range of motion, unless you are obviously getting those heels all the way back. And in Meritor, I usually use the Cybex, and I sort of prefer it because it is just a bitch. It is a really difficult machine. I can only really get 3 plates out on that using this form, which is very low foot placement and quite close, which is just the nature of the beast on that one. It's useful to go quite close so you can drive the knees out wide. You can see I'm really trying to get my arse to touch my heels there. Obviously that was a pretty rough set, pretty difficult. And then moving on to the Platz style sissy squat. I fucking love these. What you're basically pressing just through the ball of your foot here, whereas where on the hack I was going through my entire foot. This is going to emphasize the quad massively. You do have to be careful here, because obviously going purely on the ball of your foot, you could end up with some knee issues here. But the idea we're looking for here is to stretch the living fuck out of the quad. It's going to be a really useful movement to get really into the hip flexor, into the what's it bloody well called? The one that's in the middle, up near your hip, that part of your quad. I can't remember the life of me now. But anyway, that part of your quad, that's what we're really going to get into there, because you can actually you can fully stretch the quad here, which is obviously, that is say on a leg extension, the limiting factor is how deep they can actually go. Whereas with this, you are able to basically do that bit, which might be missed out on any standard leg press, but leg extension. But yes, pressing through the ball of the foot here. My heels do come back down, which if you're on something which has, you know, you can see on here that it has like a separate little plate to do these sort of things on, which is really good consideration. But yeah, very good movement, smashes the quads. Right, onto the leg, look at the striations. Ooh, that's why I included that clip. Right, onto the hammer leg press, so 45-degree leg press, traditional one here. I have been going, I think I've got up to 8 plates here, but as of today, adding a bit more volume in and that additional exercise with the Platz Sissy, which I've done recently. I've had to drop the weight down here, but I still get a very large amount of stimulus. I do actually need to drop the weight again. This was too heavy. I only got 7 reps here with, I believe it's 300 kilos. Yeah, I think it is, because I've got a load of 25s there, so it's 300 kilos. Just a little bit too heavy. Need to just be able to ensure I can get full depth. That does look very full, I know, but I have managed to get a little bit deeper, and I'm still managing to bottom out the machine, which is great, and which is why I can push to failure on this quite easily, quite safely, is the fact that I can bottom out the machine, so that's good. And then on to single leg. So I've been playing around with sort of Bulgarians as well as Smith machine squat, but I got to a point I was like, I really want to take my upper body out of this movement. And to be honest, like the 45-degree leg press, single leg, I could potentially swap over to the Cybex squat press, because we have that at Meritor, and it does allow for a lot of knee flexion there. But this is just gnarly. You know, it really gets in the glute and the adductor as well as the quad. I'm really having to drive my knee outwards in order to do this. It is quite an abrasive movement. It is hard. It's only 100 kilos here, and I'm really, you know, it is difficult. I think I only got about 11 reps out. My right leg is my weaker one because I had a knee surgery on it when I was 16, so it's usually the one I work. That's the side I usually work first on pretty much everything, including upper body stuff. I'm doing single arm stuff or single leg. But yeah, it's a really good movement, this is, and a lot of people neglect it because you can't use a lot of weight. But single leg press, very, very good for getting a bit more in the glute and adductor. Big old stretch there. Obviously, you can tell it was pretty fucking difficult. So onto the left leg here. It's a bit bigger, it's a bit easier, but still, you know, still a challenging movement, even despite the fact that my left leg is stronger. And it's something that I want to work on over time. It is definitely something that I've needed to address in terms of the imbalance between my left and right leg. It's not something you can notice that easily unless I pose straight on, hence why I rarely pose straight on. It also looks a bit more classic when you tilt to the side. But yeah, that's how sort of your posing reflects your physique, your training, this sort of stuff. And obviously have been trying ever since I was 16 to really balance out the left and right leg. But there's only so much you can do, but we're still going to keep going. But yeah, knee all the way back to the shoulders, what I'm trying to do. Obviously, I am bottoming out the machine quite easily here, hence why it might be an idea to swap over to the side legs, because you can get a ludicrous amount of range of motion on it, which is obviously what we're looking to achieve here. We want maximum knee flexion. You know, the hip flexion is great, but I already have a massive arse, so do I really need any more of that? No, I need more quad. So it might be an idea to swap over. Ooh, creaky old man getting out the machine. 28 now. 20 fucking 8, and you can fucking see it as well. Right, finishing off the booty builder. I normally use the plate loaded, but this, they had the stack, the stack loaded, the pin loaded, whatever you want to call it. Well, when I do this one, I normally use our Panata one, which is pin loaded as well, but this goes heavier. This feels better, and you can drop it, which you can obviously do with any pin loaded, stack loaded, leg press, not leg press, fucking machine. But yes, anyway, regardless, I'm really trying to keep the angle of my shin consistent. I want to keep it as vertically as I can. Obviously, with that foot plate being as angled as it is, it's very difficult to do. But when we look at, if you turn your screen ever so slightly to the side, you see in that contractile position, my shins are technically still vertical, given the angle of the foot plate. Anyway, we would use about 120 kilos there. Drop. So I want a heavy set, drop into a slightly lighter. I think I dropped down like maybe 40 kilos. So 120 down to like, I think like what's 80, maybe 70. Bash out a few more, really getting a big pause in that stretch position so I can sort of, again, remove momentum, keep the feel on my glutes rather than into my back or my abs or my quads. And hence why we're having that vertical shin angle, because I don't want to end up in my quads. I want to keep it on the glute. Back in. Your boy's tired at this point. Feet really low on that foot plate to keep that angle. Don't want to be flying forwards or anything like that. But yeah, big on that first contraction. Set up the rest of the movement. Set up the rest of those reps. Really hammer the fuck out of that. Ugh, only managed one. Brutal. Huge ass pump. Massive. Not that I need a bigger one, but it's just that's the one set I do on this, which is obviously a nice double drop set. But yeah, that's a full leg day. That's everything. That's what we run through. Big old pump there, waddling towards you, having a good time.